My name is Anna Bondar. I'm from Ukraine. I work as parent missions manager in JDCNY office. I remember I visited Israel for the first time when I was 12 years old. The first thing I paid attention to was a big amount of Israeli blue and white flags everywhere. On the cars, on the windows, on the streets. My brother, who lives in Israel, explained me that today was a big holiday, Israel Independence Day. The thing that struck me the most, even at that age, was the feeling of pride that you could feel coming from everywhere and everyone. You could see it in the eyes of the elderly people and of the children. I guess at that moment I really understood what HaAtzma'ut really means. But for me it is not only the day of pride, it is also the day of recollections, the day of thanking those people who fought for the creation of the land of Israel. My grandparents, as well as many other elderly living in the territory of the former Soviet Union, in their youth could only dream of a place where Jews could live free in their own land. Today, despite of the difficult times that Ukraine is facing, we feel joy and powerful connection to the state of Israel, irrespective of the territory where we live. Our Hasidim are planning to organize different kinds of events dedicated to Yom HaAtzma'ut, as it is not only a way for our clients to feel connected to their Jewish heritage, but it is also a way of uniting Jewish community, which is so important here, especially these days. I feel privileged to share my thoughts with you about Yom HaAtzma'ut. I would like to wish Israel prosperity, peace, and for sure a bright future. And next year in Jerusalem.
היי, תיזהר, איפה אתה עומד? מי אתה בכלל? JDC New York. I didn't see you there. I also didn't know that you were here. Chag Sameach. You know, actually now that I think about it, I'm not sure that we've ever really met. First of all, my name is Sean Hoffman. I'm the JDC Entwine Israel Regional Manager. It means that I oversee everything that Entwine does here in Israel. Originally, I'm actually from Canada. I moved to Israel about 7 years ago, and this is my 7th Yom HaAtzma'ut that I'm going to be celebrating here in Israel. I served for a couple years in the Army and the paratroopers, which were definitely some very meaningful years. And I think even as a civilian afterwards, I have a much more profound appreciation of what it really means to live in an independent Jewish state. If I were you though, I wouldn't really care so much about what I have to say. Because the truth is, the best part of my job is that I get to work with 6 absolutely incredible Jewish Service Corps fellows from around the world that are serving in different placements, different JDC projects here in Israel. If I were you, I would want to hear who they are and what they have to say.
Hi, my name is Lena. I'm from Ukraine, from Kiev, and I volunteer with Center for Young Adults in Israel. We help young adults of different backgrounds, religions, cultures to succeed in their lives and develop and better realize their potential.
I'm Julie Polda. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I live here in Tel Aviv, Israel. And I'm serving my fellowship year at CME, which is the Center for International Migration and Integration.
My name is Ron Schrag. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm volunteering this year with JDC Entwine in Israel. I'm working at a school in Bat Yam, which is a city just south of Tel Aviv.
My name is Erica Schaps, and I'm currently working with JDC to help Israel's most vulnerable population groups gain employment as a path out of poverty.
My name is Hannah Miller. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, and I'm here in Jerusalem, Israel, where I'm working with Eshel. And Eshel provides community support to vulnerable elderly populations throughout Israel.
Hi, I'm Melanie. I'm one of this year's Jewish Service Corps Fellows. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I'm serving this year in Israel, in Jerusalem, and in Ramla, working with Eshel, which is JDC's Department for Children and Youth at Risk.
This is the first time I celebrated in Israel because before I celebrated it all the time in Ukraine, every time in May. So I'm very, very excited, and I'm going to make barbecue and to go to the sea as a real Israeli.
The whole country country is decked out in blue and white, and it's really exciting. All of my students in Ramla are really excited to celebrate with their friends, watch fireworks, go to barbecues, and I'll probably do the same.
I plan to spend Yom HaAtzma'ut barbecuing and gone soccer with friends. However, I'm also going to take a moment to think about the historical significance of the day and how it might mean different things for the people I work with at JDC.
I'm very excited to be here celebrating Yom HaAtzma'ut in Israel for the first time in my life. I've celebrated it for many years, but only ever in America. So I'm very excited to go to the beach and make a barbecue with my friends and with people who all have a connection to the land. They're either studying or working and living here and really care about being in Israel.
What I wish for Israel in the coming year, in its 66th year, is I wish for Israel to be more accepting of itself. These holidays remind us that it's a really wonderful place that means a lot in so many different ways. So I hope we can hold on to that.
I wish for Israel to continue to grow as a democratic and Jewish state, and to continue to be accepting of all of the people that live within its borders.
And I would like to wish Israel much energy and inspiration and investment to continue to be an innovator and to be a home of Jews from all over the world.
Can you share one memory from your past that stands out of Yom HaAtzma'ut?
Sure. You know, we came here after the Holocaust. I was born after the war, so I was very, very young, 4 years old when we came to Israel. And my father, they just past the Holocaust, I didn't see it that way then, took us to the parades. There were military parades in the 50s in Israel. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about 52, 53, 54, because then we stopped with it. And I'll never forget how excited he was. He was really crying when he saw Israeli soldiers. Now, from the distance of time, I can understand. Then I was ashamed. But now I can understand how close it was to the Second World War, all he passed in order to survive under the Nazi regime. And here he sees Jewish soldiers with tanks and paratroopers. He couldn't just believe that it's happening in his lifetime. Wow. That's a very strong memory that I'm carrying with me, and it becomes more and more important the older I get.
So Ralph, the first question that I'd like to ask is there one Yom HaAtzma'ut that you can remember that's really, really stood out for you? Is there something that, a memory that really stands out in your years here in Israel?
Yes. I think the first one, in 1949. 1949, I came to Israel for the first Independence Day. Mm-hmm. And I came to the Foreign Office, and there he was, drinking brandy. And brandy I don't like, especially Israeli brandy, Stocks brandy. I shouldn't use that. That's a bad line.
I'll tell him to cut it out.
You cut that out.
Yeah.
In any case, he was drinking the dufsha. Uh-huh. And who was dufsha? David Ben-Gurion.
Ah, okay.
My hero, too.
Yeah.
So I began to drink with him.
Uh-huh.
All I can tell you is I had a lot of drinks, and we both got high. And that was the beginning. So much so that in addition to the dancing that was going on, there was the informality of standing on the tables and dancing or clapping and so on. That was the night of First Independence Day night.
Mm-hmm. What to you is unique about how Israel celebrates Yom HaAtzma'ut?
I would say the most unique thing is that every Yom HaAtzma'ut has Yom HaZikaron the day before. Mm-hmm. That makes the country quite different. Mm-hmm. It starts with sadness to end with a celebration. And that's, I think, part of the Jewish travail.
And I believe those of you who come to Israel on Yom HaAtzma'ut, I recommend to come because there is this feeling of closeness, especially when we hear the sirens, because the whole country stops. And that's a phenomenon that in huge countries it's probably impossible to do. But in Israel, we know that when we stand for the memory of our friends and family and others who were killed in the different wars of Israel, the whole country stands.
What do you wish to the state of Israel on its 66th birthday?
To continue to flourish and to give greater credit, in addition to the very fact that we have a state, and we have HaAtzma'ut and all the other things, to give great credit to the man who actually revived the Hebrew language, Eliezer Ben Yehuda. When you think of it, it's a unique development.
I wish Israel to be a humanitarian state, a state that people know how to behave to their fellow Jews and not only Jews. And I think that's the most bothering element, our relations to the other. And I hope that we will become, as the spirit of the joint, a humanitarian organization, that some of those values will be incorporated not only in words, but in doings, in behaviors. ואהבת לרעך כמוך. So that's my wish.
Now that, Israel is celebrating its 66th anniversary, or its 66th year of existence, and JDC is celebrating its 100th year, what do you wish for JDC in its 100th year?
I wish for JDC to continue its work because we are a people of Lech Lecha.
wozani sodlala lengoma ungikholele emhlathweni so mina ngishaya ingoma